Want to skip the small talk and get into the heart of it? So do we. Life isn't about perfection, it's about connection. And together, we're building healthy relationships, one conversation at a time. This is Say It Here.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Say It Here. I'm Judy Franco.
And I'm Corey Ajmi.
We are so excited to be here today with an amazing guest, and we cannot wait to talk to her and have you guys hear what she has to say. Her name is Jennifer Acker, but I call her Jen because we're best friends now. We've known each other all of
Forever.
like 5 seconds. Corey, you're lucky because you are way more well acquainted with her than I am, but I'll just tell you a little quick synopsis. Jennifer is a licensed clinical social worker. She is a certified sex addiction therapist, certified trauma partner therapist who focuses on getting to the heart of her clients' relationship difficulties, which is one of the many reasons I'm so happy she's here because I have so many questions. I hope we could cram it all into our time we have together. But I think what's really important, if I understand this correctly, Corey, is that rather than always focusing on external relationships, she often finds that the relationship most in need of healing is our relationship to ourselves. And I can't even tell you how much I have found that to be true in my life. Corey, if you want to just get into a little bit more into what Jennifer does.
We have to tell Jennifer about fish elbe first.
Okay, so fish elbe. You explain it, Corey.
Okay, so fish elbe is an Arabic saying, and it means fish is to let it out, and elbe is your heart. So it's like unleash your heart or empty your heart. So usually, you call up a good friend and you say, I have to fish elbe, and you just get what's on your chest off your chest. And so we start every episode with some fish elbe. And my fish elbe for today ties in exactly with what Jennifer happens to be good at. I've been feeling, sometimes we joke about it with my friends, like lose-lose. When I'm focused on work, I feel like I'm not doing enough as a mom. And when I'm all mom and family-oriented, I feel like my work is slipping and I have, guilt about that, I guess. So that's my fish elbe for today. I've been struggling with finding that balance.
I'm so happy that you said that because, of course, we all feel that way. And Jennifer, if you have a fish elbe that you want to vomit out here for us, we'd be happy to hear it. But I'll just tell you really quickly, my fish elbe is I can't sleep. I haven't been able to sleep. And what's worse is I'm one of those people that used to be able to sleep 8-10 hours a night. And so I don't really know how to function on this really, really decreased level of sleep. I'm trying to learn how to do it because I'm sure it comes somewhat with my age and it doesn't look like it's going away. But it's really frustrating because I just don't have the energy that I used to have. So I promise I won't fall asleep during our podcast today, but I will tell you, I don't have a sparkle anymore. And I swear I had a sparkle.
You have a sparkle, Judy.
Thank you. I love you.
It's also 4:00 on a Thursday too. So the week has been long. We're close to the weekend. I'd say my fish elbe similar to yours, Judy, in a way that part of like how I've lived my life and kept myself kind of safe and okay is by having a lot of systems and control and rituals and routines and living that way. And as I continue to reclaiming my relationship with myself is to sort of like let go of so much structure and so much. And so one of the things I did last night was I was out really late. I was out really late on a school night. And, my story will be like, oh my God, I'm going to be so tired the next day. I'm not going to be able to do my work or, and just being really aware of those narratives in my head and like, you know what? I am tired, but it's okay because I had an amazing time last night and I'm allowed to do these things.
I'm aching to know what you did last night. Was it fun?
It was fun. I was at the USB Arena seeing Pete Davidson, Jon Stewart.
I love him.
John Mulaney. Yeah. So I went to see comedy, but I didn't get to sleep till 1:00 in the morning.
Oh my God. But so worth it. So worth it.
So worth it. But for somebody who, needs to be in bed at 9, it was very, very different, but it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
So I have to tell myself, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I guess I need to do that. You sound way more grown up than I am.
That's a great springboard for the question I was going to ask you, Jennifer, is like, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you decided to be a therapist and what brought you to the work you're doing presently?
It's a great question. Growing up in the system that I was raised in, which is, you go to school, you learn how to get good grades and smart, and then you become something. I was never somebody who felt like I was really smart. I didn't care about school. I didn't care about grades. But what I loved was relationships. I loved my friends. I loved talking to my friends. I'd fall asleep with the phone in my ear. My parents would joke of like, what can you do with this with the rest of your life? Well, here I am. This is what I do. I talk to people. And I really listen to people. But I think the other part of that was a lot of my growing up was there's a lot of loneliness in my childhood and development in terms of like, I had friends, I had a lot of people in my life, but no one who really got to see me or really know me. I played the role, that I was supposed to play in the world, but there was a lot going on inside of me. And it wasn't until I think I was in college that, I started going to therapy because I had to. There's a lot of problems that I was struggling with. And I think that planted the seed to knowing something more about relationships and talking to it. But I still didn't think I wanted to be a therapist. I just wanted to be a mom. I wanted to, get married, have a family, and I was just going to be a mom and have that kind of life. And then, life has a different plan for you. So I did get married. I did have a child. And very, very soon after my child was born, my marriage ended, which again is sad, but it's okay. And still wasn't a therapist, but I had a therapist who was like, you really need to be a therapist. You really should be a therapist.
Really?
And I was like, I don't want to. Yeah. He kept telling me, you
That's
need to be a
amazing.
therapist. Like, you understand. Simultaneously with that, another friend called me who worked with the Meadows, which is a rehab out in Arizona, a very, very amazing rehab. And she also said, hey, do you want a job? And I was like, I'm not going to move to Arizona. She's like, you don't have to move to Arizona. You can do the job from New York and we'll fly you out here. You just have to. So basically, they train you by kind of putting you through the rehab. And that kind of opened me up to so many more pieces of information and really allowed me to do more of my deeper work. And then it all just kind of took off from there. But it was really the work of the Meadows that really helped me to understand missing pieces that I didn't have about myself.
Right.
Which they call it the codependency model. A lot of people, what is codependency? Is codependency even a thing? It's a thing. What it is lost relationship with self. That's what it is. And so when I came to understand that, and I was like, oh, I have that. I have the lost relationship with the self. And so, like I said, they kind of put you through their program when you work for them. So I got this incredible experience of learning so much more about myself. And that's kind of what kicked me off of like, I have this. I want to give this to everybody. I want to help everybody to understand that. And then I'm a seeker. I love to learn. I love to know more things. And so that was just a seed that sprouted into this. I want to know more things. And I just started to develop and gather, which I don't know if Corey showed you my map that I created.
Oh, yeah. I spent the last 3 days. I have 1,000 questions for that, Jennifer. Don't worry.
Yeah.
First, I want to just ask you really quickly because, and Corey, you have to shut me up because you know me. I will not stop because I find it so fascinating. Your website says something that I really have to question. Everyone has what they need to heal themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody also has to believe in themselves in order to heal themselves. Like, is it true that everybody can do it? Everybody.
It's not that everybody can do it. If you want to do it, you can do it. We are born with that innate ability, and life happens to us. From the time we are conceived, things start to shift and change in our journey and our evolution that are beyond our power and our understanding, but we are born as whole people.
Let's start there, Jennifer. Can we start? Let's go with birth and even before birth and some of your thoughts. Take us through your map.
Okay. So my map is sort of something that I developed over time, just to give a little background, which is like, a lot of therapy will say, this is what you need to know, and this is how you do it. And I've learned through my own work, it's not a thing. It's a lot of different things at different times, depending where you are. And it's sort of kind of melded together that, one day I saw all the things that I had learned and done and how they helped me. And it just kind of became this clear thing of, you have to understand these pieces and things, but sometimes therapy can keep you so stuck in your story and what happened to you. And, people will come to me, they've been in therapy for 10, 15 years and they don't feel any better. It's because if we keep telling our stories over and over again, you're basically deepening your neural pathways of your beliefs and your truths about yourself, and you're not going to get better. You're not going to change. So the map came, and so it starts with, kind of takes you through the journey of who you are. And when people come in, there are different places in the map, but starting with in utero, starting with the time of conception, a baby is swimming in the mother's uterus, in her amniotic fluid, in her energy, in her vibration. And so whatever mom's vibration is going to be is going to, we feel people's energy. You walk into a room, you can tell if somebody's sad, mad, whatever. Mom has that vibration. That baby is absorbing the vibration of mom. And some people get a really happy, peaceful mom. Some people don't. Some people get a really stressed out, angry, sad, rageful, hurt, addicted. We don't know what's going on, but that's going to affect that being. So that's something to pay attention to when you're learning about how to help a person. What was your mom's pregnancy like with you? Do you even know? Was she happy? How was your birth? Was she happy to see you? Because then you come to the next column of the map, which is where we talk about the attachment, which is our mom is our first love. It's her eyes that we see first, right? So we know that eye to eye connection, as well as skin to skin connection and heartbeat, helps a human being define who they are. So again, if mom can't meet us eye to eye, or if mom is distracted, or if mom is overwhelmed, or if mom needs to put us down a lot, we start to do this. Where am I? Who am I? Because she's how we know who we are and if we're here and if we matter. So we look for those eyes, and you'll see it. I tell people who have young kids, watch your kid on the soccer field. When they do something good, what do you think they do? The first thing they do is they look to mom. Did mom see that? You pay attention for that adoration, because she tells us we matter. We're here. But if you don't have that, it's where you get lost. So yes, we all have what's inside of us. But if we know that didn't happen, that's where it helps me to know where I got to go back. So my job becomes to really see people, to really look at people, to say, wow, that was incredible what just happened, to help them to start to know something in their brain and in their physiology to reconnect them to that.
Jennifer, that would be when, if somebody didn't get that from mom, potentially a coping mechanism for that person would be to look outward for those eyes, to get that adoration from other people.
That was great. So then so as you see, we start out as a baby, we start out as whole, but little things start to chip away at us. And we're not conscious of this. We're not aware that this is happening to us. So again, if we're not met with those eyes, yes, we're still looking around for those eyes. So then who do we start to look for? Other people. We start to seek validation from friends, from, coaches, peers, teachers, whoever we can find, who start to say, hey, that was good or whatever. And when we start to know it from them, that can be a surrogate, so to speak, but won't necessarily fill us, but it can set us up then for the need for more external validation. Because if I'm not getting it through me originally, I start to get it from outside of me. And that's kind of what we call the codependency sort of stuff. It's a lost relationship that's happening there then, because I don't have it coming through me. I start to gather it from outside of me. So it's just another layer. So that's what we look at in the third column of the map. So we start to put the pieces together. So where are you in the third column? Where is your lost relationship with yourself, right? And there's five elements that I look at in that. We look at self-esteem. We look at vulnerability. We look at their reality and truth, like how you see the world, what you experience. We look at your needs and your wants. We look at like balance and moderation. So I look at where people are around their messaging and their beliefs around that sort of stuff, so I can see where they are and where we have to start to emotionally grow them up, because they get arrested in those places of feeling like around self-esteem.
If I can interrupt you for a second, Jennifer,
Yeah.
just so I don't start feeling guilty about how many ways I messed my kids up. Where does the nature nurture quotient fit into this? Like, I was a wreck in some of my pregnancies, and some of my kids are wrecks, but some of them are not.
I love the honesty of that question. And as Corey knows, I'm the first one to say, I didn't know all of this when I had my kids. So, I have a lovely, anxiously attached child who I apologize every day to.
Me too.
You have to understand, we can't give another person something we, first of all, don't have inside of ourselves. You can try to mimic it, but if I don't feel secure and whole in myself, how am I going to know how to help somebody else feel secure? So it's, we're all imperfect. Everybody's imperfect. Everybody's got versions of this sort of stuff. And it's more about when we can understand it and grow into it. Like, I can apologize to my son now. I can say, I'm sorry for A, B, C, and D. If I could have done it differently, I would have done it differently. I'm here now to do it with you. I'll go to therapy with you if you need me to. I'll pay for your therapy if you need me to. But I didn't have it to give, because I grew up a very, very anxiously, whatever. We don't need to get into my whole childhood story, but I had a very scary, angry mother. So didn't have those tools.
How much do you think a child, just by his very nature, by his inherent personality or whatever, can escape that which his mother gave him?
I think, everybody has a different imprint inside of them. There's personality, there's DNA, so there is nature and there's nurture, there's resiliency, there's a lot of different things. So I think that there's their soul, their soul that comes into this world is theirs. But again, how they're going to, like I had a sister, we grew up in the same home. How we dealt with it was completely different, right? So that's a perfect example of how you look at that. I was the very kind of like outspoken one, called the strong one. She was the much more timid, quiet, held in one. So when we move down the map, so when all this is going on inside of us, it doesn't feel very good. So we start to find coping strategies and ways to feel okay in the world, which I call secondary symptoms. So my coping strategy was to be very extroverted, very outgoing, very popular, very involved. She was introverted and got involved in drugs and kind of withdrew more from the world. So you have two people, same parents, going through very similar stuff. I went this way, she went that way.
Amazing. Yeah. Next on the map, you say relational issues.
Right. So like you have, let's say, I had an angry mother. So that made me kind of like, I'm not sure about love and safety. I don't know, right? I don't know. And I didn't get the eyes at all. So my esteem came from my popularity, from my friends, from my, grades, from whatever it was, right? Like that's where I started to get my worth and value from. So that's what I'm bringing to the world now. And my secondary symptom, my coping mechanism, again, was to be very busy, very involved, and also to be very perfectionistic and like, I got it together. I know what I'm doing. I'm like better than you kind of.
Oh, so many women suffer that way, Jennifer.
So I bring that to the relationship, not knowing that I'm doing any of that. This is just me. And whoever I'm with is bringing their version of that. And we don't even know that this is going on, right? So that's where the relational stuff comes in, right?
Do you think that all of this is a little bit more applicable to women than it is to men, or is it just universal?
No, it's universal. It's universal. Yeah, because men go through the first love of their mom too. I work with a lot of men who they're coping, their secondary symptoms, their strategies, are wide and wide. But at the end of the day, they're just little boys inside of there too who just want to be loved and seen and heard and matter.
So true. The authentic self, our innate whole self, And I love this because it says we have value as a human life. We are vulnerable as a human life. We are imperfect as a human life. We are dependent as a human life. We are spontaneous and free as a human life. That's each of our potential, is what you're saying.
Yep.
So when you say we each have the tools to heal ourselves, you have to know that from the beginning, because there are so many people who have they're disillusioned and they go, I'm beyond help. And if you don't know that you all have value, if you don't know that we're all vulnerable, we're all imperfect, then you could just think, I'm unfixable, I'm unlovable.
Right. That's why I created this, because when I walk people through this, it makes sense to them. And they're like, oh, so I started out as the whole self. I lost the whole self because of these things. So now how do we bring the whole self back? This is the work that we have to do. Right.
Yes. And here's
Yeah.
the real tough part, Corey. When you wrote this question, I was like, this is the first thing I need to ask. Mother hunger.
Uh-huh.
And I think I'm like a lot of women who she is so big in my life that there's nothing about me that isn't part of her. And what exactly is mother hunger?
So mother hunger was a term created by Kelly McDaniel, who's a brilliant author and one of the most eloquent speakers I've ever heard. Mother Hunger is her second book. Her first book was called Ready to Heal. And Mother Hunger was a chapter in Ready to Heal that resonated so much. Ready to Heal is really a book for women and relationship issues. And so she identified that mother hunger is a theme that she picked up in all the women she was working with in their relationships, that there was this missing vital piece, this hunger for a nurturing, protective, guiding mother. And so there became such a response and reaction to that chapter that she realized, oh, I have another book I have to write, and named it Mother Hunger. And so it's all about what mother hunger is when three things that she identifies that a human being needs to feel secure and whole: nurturing, protection, and guidance. Sometimes we get nurtured. Sometimes we get guidance. Sometimes we get protection. Sometimes we get all three, but rarely do most people get all three. If you don't get all three, she calls that third degree mother hunger. Okay. So it's just really understanding, like, what is nurturing, right? It's being touched, it's being spoken to, it's being taken care of, it's being soothed, it's being helped through your emotions, right? How often does that happen to people, right? I was just talking to a guy today who went through so many difficult things. And I said to him, who was there to help you with that? Well, no one. No one was there. So what did you do with all that? It's deep down inside. And I went into my secondary symptoms. I became an addict, and that's what I did with it. And I need validation to feel okay in the world. But so we need to be nurtured. We need to feel that touch, that sense. Like, it's the studies about the babies in Russia who die from not being touched, right? We need nurturing. We need guidance. We don't come out of the womb and just know how to go do this thing called life. We need to know what's okay. We need to know how we feel about things. And we need somebody to show us how to do that. If people are being mean to us, if somebody doesn't say, hey, what do you think about that? Or how do you feel about that? Or what do you want to do about that? We don't think that there's a choice. We don't know how to do it. Or if teachers are being cruel or critical, if there's nobody guiding us through moments and challenges in our lives, we have to figure it out on our own.
And
right?
sometimes kids, I guess, would not understand that some of that behavior was not okay. And they tolerate more of that kind of behavior as they get older.
Right.
Well, right. And what kids will also do is, if there's not somebody there helping them to explore all of that, they will think it's them. It must be
Yes.
me, right? So again, if you have and we say mother hunger because mothers are, like I said, that's the primary relationship. That's our first love. Some people don't have that. Some people, have two dads. Some people have a single parent for whatever the reasons. it's not about a perfect situation with your mother. It's about a good enough situation with your mother. And if you don't have that mother, there's certainly room for surrogacy in that, right? Like
Sure.
still somebody whose eyes are there for you, somebody who's telling you that you matter and I see you and how are you feeling and you're okay and all that sort of stuff. So nurturing, guidance, and protection, just protecting you. If things are happening to you, I'm going to step in there and I'm going to handle this.
The thing I'm thinking about is that it's what I'm keep hearing, like from a lot of our guests, and Jennifer, you're reiterating it, is that there's always room to grow at any age. And I think, Judy, people come to it, it seems to me, at different stages and times of their life and for different reasons. And it could be an addict who's at rock bottom, but it doesn't have to be that. You know, it could just be somebody who's struggling and chooses to go to therapy and starts to learn about themselves.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I'm glad you brought up it could be addiction. For me, I think, I was an actress when I was younger and I looked for attention, and that got me a lot of praise from my mom, especially. And so I learned that was the best way to get her, right? So now, of course, I'm in sort of a career where I get that attention, being on the radio. And I have, that people pleaser thing that you hate to have. So I got to an age, I guess I was about, in my late 40s, where I was like, I don't want to be this. It wasn't addiction. I mean, you could call it addiction to attention, but it was just another thing that I guess I was missing in my life. It wasn't mother hunger. But what do you call that?
You didn't know you were wonderful and amazing just for being you.
Correct.
You got the loving eyes by being that actress child, right?
Yeah, and my mother was very, very loving. Don't get me wrong. Of course, everybody has to I need to defend my mom.
There was something about that felt very different. It wasn't a spoken thing. It was something that resonated inside of you and that said, yum, 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 yum. I want more of that. So 100%. I'm going to do that. And that became sort of like your thing. You don't have to call it an addiction, just your strategy, your way of being. But you did not know if you didn't do that, you're just as lovable and you're just as important.
Well, it took me a long time to learn that. So can you tell it to me a few more times? Because I really don't believe it. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. But what I really wanted to say is I think a lot of women who have that people-pleasing thing or that attention, look at me thing, may have had something similar in their past. Not that everybody was an actress, but they were the funny kid or they were the kid that stood out for whatever reason. And when they saw they were getting that attention, even if it was negative attention, they go, this feels so good.
Yeah, most people come into therapy really around the secondary symptom column, the thing that's wrong, something's wrong, right? We don't come in therapy when things are right. We come in because something's not working in our life. So it could be, I have anxiety, I'm depressed, I'm an addict, I'm having work issues, I'm having relationship. They come in because there's a problem, right? So what we have to do is we have to kind of get underneath the problem. Some therapists will just deal with the problem. Oh, you have anxiety. Okay, so let's take medication and anti-anxiety medication or antidepressants and those things like that. And, that'll help you to be okay. You stop taking those medications, what happens? You still have all that other stuff. So that's why I like to look at the relationship inside of you.
Because I think, and Corey, I don't want to speak for you, but just want to tell you something funny that happened last week, Jennifer. She shows up on an Instagram of her hair salon, promised they weren't going to show her face. And sure enough, there she is. And people are texting me like, is this Corey? And Corey's like, I am so mad. They promised they weren't going to show my face. I'm calling them right now to get it off. And all I could think of was, if it were me, I'd be like, why didn't they put my name under it too? And I
promote it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know which one is even maybe Corey's response also comes from something, when she grew up that made her be much more private and modest, So how do you know? Or does it matter?
Again, it's like our strategies, yours to be very known and accoladed and, hey, I see you. Corey's to not be seen, because that's part of how Corey did it, right? I'm
Right.
guessing. If you're okay with it, then you're okay with it. We don't have to be like, well, that's a problem and you need to change that. If you're good with
Right.
your strategy and it's working
Oh, I'm not
for
good
you,
with it. I am not
that's
good
one
with
thing.
it.
But if it's not people come when it's no longer working. It
Right.
works, and it works well for a point in time.
Right.
But when you have to like kind of hustle and keep doing that, as Brene Brown would say, hustle for your worthiness.
Mhm.
It gets really exhausting.
Exhausting.
And at some point, you gotta, you want to come and meet yourself and be like, you know what? I'm all right.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. I think culturally, the messages I got quieted me down. Like as a child in second grade, I was writing plays and making myself the star and performing in my class. And I can watch myself third, fourth, fifth grade as the years went on, becoming less visible, becoming.
That's so interesting.
Yep. And I think the messages were very clear to quiet down.
Pipe down.
Yeah, pipe down. Mhm.
Yeah. And it was the opposite in my family.
Well, not even my family. I'm saying in society.
Oh, because women should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I find even in my job as a radio talk show host, I have a male partner. Anything we say, and we agree on 80% of every issue, they say to him, oh, I agree with you. They say to me, why is Judy such a B word? And I'm like, we said the same thing, and it's like, because a woman who is very opinionated and very assertive is the B word. And a man is like, good for you, outspoken, strong. So Corey, that's probably the message that you were getting, like, chill out, calm down. You're a lady.
I mean, that's part of how we get away from ourselves. Our society, our world has a lot of messages for us too about how we're supposed to be and how we're not supposed to be, how girls are supposed to be, how boys are supposed to be. And we all follow those rules, right? We never question them. It's the systems that we all live in. And, you call it the patriarchy, you could call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. We all fall into line and don't question, like, until it becomes so uncomfortable that we question it. And, some people will live their whole lives never questioning it. I'm good.
Yeah.
This is just how it is. And some people aren't good with it. It becomes like too unsettling inside. And that, again, that's what'll bring you to therapy. But I'm not saying everybody has to do this and everybody should do this. If you're not okay inside of you and you're feeling more uncomfortable, there's an option.
So
That's
Judy,
all I'm saying.
you're seeking attention maybe it's not unmanageable. It's how you've made it's your career. So some people seeking attention has caused destruction in their lives.
But growing up, I learned, in a zillion different ways, how to not have to have it. You know what I mean? And I did, thank God, I was able to channel it into something positive and use it for my career, but not everybody can. And that women like that get into all kinds of trouble if they can't figure out
men too
how to control. Yes, 100%. Absolutely. So I have a question for you, Jennifer, and this might be putting on the spot. You could think about it a little bit, but what do you think is in your career, like the biggest success for you? Like, who were you able to really fix or help them to fix themselves?
That's a great question.
Well, I don't think I fix anybody. I think when people, come to me to seek help. So my success is anybody who I can help to feel more connected to themselves and more authentic in their lives. That's what it is. And, cherry on top, my pie in the sky would be to really embrace themselves, love themselves unconditionally. Like that's what I go for with people. And I know that sounds just like such, cliche, like to love yourself, but to reconnect with the spirit inside of you. It's like, I call it turning the lights back on, because our lights get shut off. And when I can help you turn your lights back on and see people change, and, I don't want people to come and be with me forever. I want you to come, let's do the work and go. And that's why the second half of my map is like, okay, so this all happened. Now what? Let's look at where you're going to go so we can get you going where you want to go. Because I want you to get out of here and go live your life. Because at the end of the day, all of what happens to people is really as we start to believe things about ourselves. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not, love is not available for me. Whatever the beliefs are. Those are just stories you tell yourself based on what's happened. And I then kind of want to rewrite the story, which is part of connecting with who you really are. So that's the second half of the map, which is what really, really tickles me because I want people to go forward. And so I have to know what you believed about yourself, but I want to know what we're going to reinstall that is the truth about yourself. And we don't just decide that and then we're good. Neuropathways are a tricky thing. The reason we believe things about ourselves is because we've told ourselves that over and over and over and over again. That's how a neuropathway is created. So to create a new neuropathway, we have to really then tell that new story over and over and over again. So we spend time in the work doing that, looking for that, embodying that, supporting that so that it takes over.
Where can our listeners find the map?
Through me. You have to come through me.
Okay, so how do we get you?
Jennifer Acker, LCSW @gmail.com. Yeah.
Okay.
Jennifer, if we have 5 more minutes, I would love for you to touch on the molecule. What is it? The water molecule experiment.
Okay. So the okay, very quickly. That's a study that was done through a scientist, a Japanese scientist named Masaru Emoto, Masaru Emoto, Emoto, and it's called the water molecule study. I use it as a tool for people to understand, like, again, back to the beliefs, what I tell myself over and over again is a message, right? We are made up of about 70% water inside of us. The water molecule study was he took 2 Petri dishes of water. And with one of the Petri dishes, basically he said really beautiful, kind, loving things. You're amazing, you're wonderful, you're gorgeous, you're perfect, positive. The other Petri dish, he said really negative, mean, cruel things too. Then he took the water molecules and he looked at them under a microscope. The positive one, and you can look this up online. There's all kinds of fascinating stuff about this. The positive one, the water molecules were like crystals, like snowflakes, like diamonds. And the negative ones were like sludge, like mud. So we are made up of 70% water, and how we talk to ourselves over and over and over again is like an energy. Are we creating crystals or are we creating sludge inside of us? So it's just a tool that I use to really demonstrate how powerful this all is.
I am shocked. That's amazing. I laugh at my husband because he planted new grass seeds and he talks to the grass every day. Come on, you guys, you're doing okay.
I have a bush in my front yard that was half dead. And I'm like, I'm turning this bush around. I go out and I just went outside this morning. I was like, look at you. It's turning green again.
Oh, that's amazing. That is so good.
That's a great place to end.
It really is. And I can't even thank you enough for being here, Jennifer. Corey and I are having so much fun with this, and I trust her picks, and she was not wrong on this one. So nice to meet you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and I wish you both all the best with this. It's exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's our truth, and as always, we say it here.
And so until next time,
skip perfection
and choose connection.
Thanks so much for listening. If you like what you heard, please follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you feel so inclined, leave us a rating and a 5-star review. It really helps other people find the show. If you want to connect with us more, find us at Say It Here Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Say It Here is sponsored by Safe Parenting. The show is hosted and executive produced by us, Judy Franco and Corey Ajmi. Production and editing support is done by the team at Resonate Recordings. We'll see you in the next episode.